Hello, we start tonight with that murder conviction at the Old Bailey, where John McFarlane has been jailed for life after he admitted killing a mother of three from Bury St Edmunds.
The case is now the subject of a major investigation because just hours before the murder, the victim, Mary Griffiths, had phoned the police to tell them she was worried about McFarlane and his behaviour. The next morning, she was murdered. Kevin Birch was in court.
John McFarlane was, by his own admission, paranoid and angry. He'd become besotted, obsessed with divorcee Mary Griffiths. But she saw him as just a friend. Having tried to kill himself and unable to cope with rejection, McFarlane got what he called his revenge, armed with a bolt gun used to kill animals at slaughter. Much of the evidence in court was harrowing. McFarlane smashed his way into Mary Griffiths' home in the early hours with an axe. She and her three daughters were asleep inside. He cut the lights and went upstairs and attacked her. Two of her daughters tried to fight him off. Mary Griffiths was pushed down 2 flights of stairs. It spilled into the street. There, McFarlane stood over her and shot her twice in the chest. It was, said a neighbour, clinical, like an execution. The court was told that Mary rung the police hours before the attack to ask for advice because McFarlane had been stalking her. No one came. It wasn't a 999 call, but an independent investigation is still underway to see how Suffolk police responded to her fears.
We are still awaiting a decision from the investigation being carried out by the IPCC as to why the police did not respond to Mary's call for help the day before she was murdered.
The family, 30 of whom were in court, described her as a shining light, an angel. And here at this leisure centre in Bury St Edmunds, where she worked, the sense of loss still runs deep.
Absolute shock. You just couldn't believe it. One, that it happens, and B, in such terrible circumstances, and also so close to home as well.
McFarlane had received psychiatric treatment but wasn't on medication. The day before the killing, he was assessed by a mental health team but wasn't found to be unstable or a threat to anyone but himself. Support groups like this one in Bury say lessons have to be learned.
It just seems a catalogue of human errors, and this girl's paid the ultimate price for that.
The judge said it was a crime which had devastated 3 generations of the family. He gave him life with a minimum term of 19 years. Kevin Birch, BBC Look East, at the Old Bailey.
There's been a late development tonight in the case of the so-called Cyprus 2 from Essex. The cousins were supposed to be on their way to Cyprus this weekend, where they were due to start a prison sentence in connection with the death of a Cypriot teenager. But the men's legal team won an 11th hour reprieve. Our chief reporter Kim Riley is following the story. Kim.
Susie, this is the police station in London where the 2 men were actually due to report by 6:30 this evening. Michael Binnington and Luke Atkinson were originally held in Cyprus after the death of a teenager whose moped was hit by a car. Now, the car driver got 15 years for manslaughter. The pair, they were backseat passengers in the car, were acquitted. But over a year later, the Cypriot Supreme Court overturned the verdict and sentenced them to 3 years in their absence. Well, there's since been a very vigorous campaign against extradition. Today, their lawyers at the High Court really staged an 11th hour attempt to halt it. They were granted the injunction, but is it significant?
We hope it's significant. We're arguing that if Luke and Michael have to do the 3-year sentence, which we reluctantly have to accept, that they should do that sentence in the UK and not go to Cyprus to do that.
The car driver, of course, is serving his sentence in the UK.
That's right. He has been repatriated. He served, obviously, 6 months on remand before the trial, and then he served about 8 months, I think, after the trial, and now he's been repatriated. He's serving his sentence in the UK.
The 2 expected to be coming to this police station tonight. How are they feeling tonight?
I think they're on a bit of a roller coaster, really. It's up and down. You know, it's been very, very short notice. They were on their way. They'd left home to come to Belgravia this evening when I was able to call them and say, no, the injunction's granted, turn around, go home and stay there.
Kim, the lawyers obviously accept that they will have to serve out their sentences. How long are they likely to be in jail?
Well, yeah, that is a good question. I mean, they will be seeking, there's a further hearing, incidentally, next Thursday, and then they'll be seeking a full court hearing into the whole issue of our extradition laws. They think they're basically unsound. But The big question is, remember that they did serve 6 months waiting for trial back in Cyprus. Now, if the lawyers succeed in their determination to get them to serve the remains of their sentence here, they're likely to serve probably around 15 months. But as the lawyer was saying, the roller coaster ride tonight certainly looks set to continue for some time yet.
Kim, thank you very much.
A would-be Conservative MP is facing an anxious weekend. On Monday, local party members in south-west Norfolk will decide whether to back Elizabeth Truss or turn their backs on her. Let's talk to our political correspondent, Andrew Sinclair.
Stuart, Elizabeth Truss is a candidate from London who David Cameron would love to see in Parliament. But within an hour of her being selected, the local party in south-west Norfolk discovered that she'd been involved in a high-profile affair, and neither she nor Central Office had told them. And that's what this row is all about. I must warn you, there's some flash photography in this report.
Stradset Hall, deep in the Norfolk countryside. For more than 300 years, it's been home to the Bagg family, pillars of the Norfolk establishment and the local Conservative Party. And the present head of the family is furious.
Conservative Central Office headquarters actually have betrayed us. They've not only betrayed us as members and an association, and we are the ones that do all the hard work here in southwest Norfolk, but they've actually betrayed her.
What started off as a bit of local difficulty has become a full-blown row between the local party and the national leadership. Elizabeth Truss's affair with a married MP was widely reported 4 years ago, and she was open about it with Central Office. But Central Office didn't tell the local party, and that's what's angered people like Sir Jeremy.
They're very arrogant. They think that up here in southwest Norfolk we're probably, sort of a bit happy-go-lucky or not sort of really switched on. And they feel that they could probably get in an A-list Cameron candidate without too much trouble.
We're hearing more and more announcements of...
Miss Truss has turned down repeated interview requests but insists she's been open and honest all the way along. The local party executive is said to be supporting her, but no one will speak publicly on her behalf. It's going to be a long weekend for Elizabeth Truss.
First of many guesses over the next couple of days, I suspect, Andrew. Will she be the candidate or not?
Well, behind the scenes, she's been doing a lot of meeting people and I'm told winning them over. She's also got high-profile support from the present MP, Christopher Fraser and Gillian Shepherd. But what no one knows is how ordinary party members think. Those I've spoken to, those who go on websites and chat rooms, are very angry still, but that's by no means all of them. We're not going to know for sure until all the members come together and vote on Monday evening.
Thank you very much.
And there's more from Andrew and the politics team on this weekend's edition of The Politics Show. It's on Sunday at 12 o'clock on BBC One.
Lots more to come in Look East tonight. We're expecting a wet and windy weekend. We'll have the details later.
We will have a top gardening tip.